Good evening, I'm Jess De Los Santos. The big stories tonight. COVID-19 cases in the country breached the 11,000 mark on Monday. The LTFRB proposes to scratch off more than 60 bus routes in the metro to cut down travel time. Transport officials are proposing to cut down MRT ridership to a little over 10% of its usual capacity to maintain social distancing. The country registers its hottest heat index so far this year. The temperature gauge hit well above 50 degrees Celsius in San Jose, Occidental Mindoro. While other lawmakers are proposing ways to allow ABS-CBN to operate again, Davao City Congressman and presidential son Paulo Duterte wants to look into the probable franchise violations of the Kapamilya network. The happiest place in China, I'm talking about Disneyland Shanghai, opens its doors to visitors again, almost 4 months since it was shut down. The number of COVID-19 cases in the country has breached the 11,000 mark. That's after the Health Department recorded 292 new cases in the past 24 hours. Meanwhile, the DOH recorded 7 new deaths, bringing the national death toll to 726. Total number of recoveries, on the other hand, is now close to 2,000. Senators earlier held a session to discuss a possible lifting of the ECQ in Metro Manila and what it would imply for the transport sector. To loop us in on that discussion, we have Mean Los Baños reporting live from Pasig City. Mean, what's it looking like for the transport sector, at least from the point of view of our senators?
Yes, just senators discussed on how the transportation sector will actually cope with the expected influx of passengers with vehicles' capacities reduced or limited due to the need for social distancing. And this came even before President Duterte could decide whether or not he will lift the quarantine protocols in Metro Manila in the weeks to come.
Once Metro Manila is placed under General Community Quarantine or GCQ, an estimated 3.4 million people will be traveling to work. About 30% of them have private cars, while over 2 million workers will rely on public vehicles like buses and jeepneys. Lawmakers asked the Transportation Department how it plans to meet this demand, with buses and jeeps only allowed to carry half their normal capacity.
There is a hierarchy or preference of public transport. The unit that will bring as many people, considering the reduced capacity of our public transport, would be prioritized. And that would be, insofar as land-based public transport, that would be the buses, and goes all the way down to the modernized jeepney, and then down to the traditional jeepneys and the vans. That would also include not just the buses that run on the regular bus routes, but also the P2P buses.
The LTFRB, on the other hand, is suggesting the rationalization of bus routes in the nation's capital. From 96 routes for city buses, the agency is proposing to cut that number to just 29 routes. This will shorten each trip but will increase the total number of trips each bus can make daily. Ideally, this will also increase the number of passengers each bus can shuttle every day.
Yung EDSA po kasi, halos lahat po ng buses natin north to south or south to north, diyan dumadaan sa EDSA. No? So ngayon, ang gagawin po natin sa EDSA is parang connector na lang. Meaning, every kalsada may route po ng mga bus and then bababa sa dulo. So mas bibilis po ang biyahe nila kasi matagpa-decongest po yung EDSA natin. And then second po, kaya po minsan nakikita natin po ng pulo lagi ang bus dahil ang tagal ng turnaround. Sometimes it took them 3 hours from north to south, pero po yan po iruruta natin ng kanya-kanyang kalsada na mas kakasya po yung ating mga pasahero.
Authorities are likewise urging companies to provide vehicles that will shuttle their employees from their houses to the office and back.
If I may, and this is our appeal, to utilize shuttle service for at least 2 reasons. One, makakasiguro, or at least 3, makakasiguro yung kumpanya na dadating talaga sa oras yung mga empleyado nila. Pangalawa, and I would like to appeal, baka pwedeng ilibre ng mga kumpanya para naman dagdag gastos doon sa mga empleyado na pag pupunta sila sa trabaho sa kanilang mga kumpanya. Pangatlo, from a public transport point of view, maibsan ang pressure sa mga trabahante to take the public transport.
Meanwhile, social distancing will not only be practiced inside PUVs, but also in all pick-up and drop-off points, including terminals.
Maglalagay tayo ng mga bus stops po, no, na meron ng mga markers for physical distancing. Hindi na po pwede yung dating ginagawa ng mga kababayan natin na sa kalsada umihinto at nagpapara. Talagang they need to follow, no, na pumila ng tama. And I think, no, this is the right time na mga pagbabago natin sa ating transportation.
But one mode of transportation is facing more challenges than others, the MRT. From 390 passengers, each wagon will only be allowed to carry 51 people once the rail resumes operations. That's just a little over 10% of its regular capacity.
Ako, mag-uurahan yung mga tao kung sino makakapasok na. Wala tayong magagawa kasi nga dito dahil sa social distancing reform yan. Pero siguro dapat maghahanda tayo dahil dun pa lang sa baba, magkakagulo na sa pila.
Just despite the revenue losses that the operators and drivers are bound to suffer, the transportation officials assured the public that there will be no fare hike. Instead, they will be asking the government for subsidies to be given to the operators and drivers. Jess?
Well, man, exactly how will the government be handing out these subsidies? Are we talking about the possibility of releasing fuel coupons?
Fuel subsidy, tama. Yung naiisip dito ng DOTR. Basically, DOTR claims that after they presented this to the IATF, it was already adopted. What is being finalized right now is the mechanism on how to distribute yung fuel subsidy, how to download the money, and to make sure that the operators and drivers will receive it. 1,300 for buses and 1,200 pesos for buses and 360 pesos para sa mga jeep, Jess.
May sinabi ba yung Transport Department kung lahat ng mga sasakyan na pasok doon sa 29 na mga ruta na pinaplano nila kung sakali ay papayagang bumiyahe o kakailanganin ba nilang mag-apply ng special permit para makabiyahe doon sa 29 na ruta na yon?
Tama ka, Jess. Kailangan nila mag-apply ng special permit. And basically, kung yung EDSA yung pinag-uusapan natin, yung babaguhing ruta doon sa EDSA, bus lang ang pwede dyan. Kasi ang sinasabi nga ng DOTR tsaka ng LTFRB, meron silang preference or priority. Priority yung bus kasi sila yung may pinakamaraming pwedeng isakay despite yung kanilang limitation nga doon sa social distancing. After, kung hindi pa raw enough yung mga bus, tsaka palang papasok yung mga motorized. And then, pag hindi pa rin sapat, saka palang papasok dyan yung traditional jeepneys. And just to add, Jess, sinasabi ng LTFRB ngayon pa lang, 70% ng lahat ng public vehicles hindi talaga makakabiyahe under GCQ. Nasa 30% lang yung papayagan nilang bumiyahe. To make sure nga raw na maluwag pa rin ang kalsada, babaguhin na lang yung mga ruta to make sure din may social distancing, Jess.
But at least for the buses that will be allowed to ply those 29 routes that you mentioned, how is a DOTR going to assure that social distancing is going to be observed?
Mahirap. Actually, yan din yung tanong ng mga senators kanina. How can you be sure na talagang layo-layo, 1 meter or 1 seat apart, no? Ang sinasabi kanina, ang alam kong sumagot niyan, DILG, Jesse, ang sinasabi nila, marami along the way doon sa kalsada na magbabantay. Whether taga-MMDA yan or PNP yan, wala pa tayong eksaktong detalye kung sino yan. But basically, we can safely assume there will be inspections every now and then to make sure na napapanatili yung social distancing. And I think the officials are banking on the idea that the actually consumers or yung mga passengers, sila na mismo actually at makakasanayan nila na may social distancing. Anyways, for their own good, na hindi sila magdikit-dikit. Kaso ibang usapan talaga. Kaya kanina medyo masakit yung ulo ni Senator po. Yung sinasabi niya sa MRT. Kasi imagine from 390 to 51 per bagon yung pinag-uusapan. For sure, mag-uunahan dyan. So, medyo nightmare din siya. Hindi ko pa rin maisip, Jess, kung paano nila papatupad yan.
One other key stakeholder na kailangan nating bantayan, at least health-wise, would have to be the drivers. Paano natin ma-assure that there's going to be a limit in terms of the physical contact?
Ang malino na pag-usapan kanina, Jess, drivers ng taxis. Kasi ang taxis kasi pwede silang magsakay sa katabi nila, passenger seat, and then dalawa sa likod. So basically, nabawasan lang sila ng isang pasahero. So kung ganon, sinasabi nila, Senator Po, wala talaga masyadong social distancing. So I think ang ipapatupad dyan ng DOTR, may acetate daw or parang plastic cover sa gitna ng driver at nung kanyang katabi at pati dun sa may likuran. Kasi nga since wala masyadong social distancing, to make sure na pag may bumahin o pag may umubo, hindi naman sila, alam mo na, magpapasok yung laway or magiging malapit masyado sa isa't isa kasi maliit lang yung mga taxi, sedan lang yun eh. But for the jeep and the bus, wala pa kung detalyeng narinig kanina, taxi lang yung kanilang diniscuss na magkakaroon ng plastic covers sa pagitan ng pasahero at ng driver.
Mayan, any other guidelines that the government is planning to propose para nga doon sa mga drivers at mga operators in the transport sector?
Yes, maraming pagbabago. Masks ay required para sa driver, konduktor at pasahero. Basically, walang pwedeng bumiyahe hanggat hindi nakamask. Kahit yung pasahero, hindi siya pwedeng pasakayin kung wala siyang mask. And then for modern PUV operators, as much as possible, yung fare collection ay dapat daw tap cards na. Hindi naman required pero in-encourage sila para wala nang palitan ng pera, wala nang suklian, wala nang hawakan ng barya. Bus terminals, dapat may thermal scanners and of course, required mag-disinfect yung bawat unit, bus o jeep kada tapos o kada dating nila dun sa kanilang destinasyon para sure na malinis yung kanilang sasakyan. Jess.
Alright, thank you for those updates. Mayan Las Baños reporting live from Pasig City. Chaos marred the last day of the distribution of the government's cash aid in Barangay Bagong Pag-asa, Quezon City on Sunday. Some residents who queued for hours were unable to receive the dole-out. Lynn Olavario has the details.
Over 3,000 beneficiaries of the DSWD Social Amelioration Program were set to receive their payouts in Barangay Bagong Pag-asa in Quezon City yesterday. It was the last day of cash aid distribution in the area. So as early as 4 a.m., residents started lining up outside the Bagong Pag-asa Elementary School. Soon, the massive crowd became impossible to organize. Bagong Pag-asa residents endured this for hours, since the actual distribution of cash grant did not start until 2 in the afternoon. The process of verification and payout was easy, but it got difficult when heavy rain fell at around 4:30 p.m. Residents had no choice but to abandon their queue to seek shelter inside the covered court. Tensions mounted when residents scrambled to find their places back. Worse, social distancing was practically impossible. Fearing a riot, staff of the local government decided to halt the payout until the police could cool tensions and sort out the queue.
Sa mga tao na kinunan to tapos pinadala sa DILG, hindi po totoo na wala tayong ginagawa dito. Full force po tayo nandito. Sobra-sobra ang tao, hindi po natin makakaya ng ganun kadali. Kaya pati in distancing, makikita nyo na, sumisigaw kami, minaayos namin para makita yung physical distancing. At ang sabi ko nga sa kanila, kukuha kayo na 8,000 pero may COVID naman kayo. Hindi po ba? Minsan bigyan na sila eh. Masyadong very eager sila makuha kagad na yung ayuda ng gobyerno, which is dadating naman.
After 2 hours, distribution finally resumed. Mark Lester Aros, a construction worker, said he didn't mind waiting 11 hours to receive his 8,000 peso cash grant.
Mahirap pero masaya kasi hindi naman puro sayang yung pagod. Pambili pong gatas.
Same goes for Joel Navarra, another construction worker who fell in line as early as 8 in the morning. He had not eaten anything aside from breakfast, but he weathered the crowd, the intense heat, and even the sudden rainfall to receive cash aid from the government.
Kailangan talaga kasi siyempre pamilya. Okay lang, basta kakakuha lang. Kaysa mamatay kami sa gutom.
After 9 grueling hours of processing forms and handing out grants, Barangay Bagong Pag-asa officials finally received the distribution of SAP aid at around 1 in the morning. However, not everyone who lined up for it received the dole-out. Just like Alex Casaverde, who was disqualified from the program since he only has one child.
Nung nakapasok na po ako doon, nagpanibago akong fill up kasi daw yung unang fill up namin doon nawala. Nawala na raw yun. Kaya nagpanibago akong fill up, nag-interview ako. Nung pag-interview nila sa akin, ang sabi nila, hindi daw ako papasa, gawa nung isa lang daw yung anak ko. Sa DSWD daw, ang naaprobahan, 3 pataas.
This was Casaverde's second time to spend hours in line, hoping to qualify for the government SAP program, to no avail. He says the worst part of it all is seeing less qualified residents get help he needs.
Karamihan ma'am ditong natanggap, sinungaling.
Barangay Captain Rodolfo Palma says 9,000 of the barangay's 35,000 residents belong to the low-income category, but only 4,150 of them were admitted to the SAP program. Palma says those who were cut off the list may still apply for other cash aid programs, like the one being cooked up by the city government.
Yung hindi po nakakuha, merong ginawa yung ating mahal na mayor, Quezon City SAP ang tawag, na yung mga hindi makakuha rito, yun ang kanyang tutulungan.
Palma says residents can receive up to 4,000 pesos under the QC SAP. For News 5, Lynn Olivario, we are One News.
We'll be back with more stories after the break. Stay with us here on One News. Tapos na to. Okay, may isa.
Discuss today the issues surrounding the ABS-CBN shutdown. But
Ano tayo?
Mike test 1, 2, 3.
Hi, Ria. Can you hear me?
Yes po. Hello?
Okay, thank you.
Anong next natin?
I'm Jess De Los Santos and you're watching The Big Story. Lawmakers are now pursuing different options regarding ABS-CBN's franchise renewal. Senators seem to be at odds on how to move forward. Meanwhile, some congressmen are deflecting the blame to the NTC for shutting down the Kapamilya network. News 5 correspondent Ria Fernandez will give us the details. Ria, what is going on?
Just both chambers of Congress discussed today the issues surrounding the ABS-CBN shutdown, but their focus seemed to have drifted away from the network's franchise renewal itself. The Senate has adopted a resolution urging the National Telecommunications Commission, or NTC, to reconsider its cease and desist order against ABS-CBN. However, 9 senators, including Senate President Tito Soto, abstained from voting. He would rather ABS-CBN's franchise renewal, but it's a different case when the issue is already lodged before the Supreme Court.
But we are tackling a resolution that is countering the prerogative of the executive department that they have already made as a decision. And I am inclined to have the same thinking as Justice Antonio Carpio, National Artist F. Yonil Jose, the Dean of the San Beda University Graduate School of Law, Father Angelio Aquino, and former Senate President Juan Ponce Enrile. And therefore, when the proper time comes, I am inclined to vote an abstention.
On the other hand, Senator Risa Ontiveros clarified that the resolution she authored has no intention of preempting the decision of both the lower house and the high court. Senator Manny Pacquiao believes the Kapamilya Network deserves to be issued a provisional authority to operate.
May mga nangyayari na kasi dati in the past na binigyan nila ng provisional authority kung like CBCP, binigyan nila ng provisional authority while the renewal process is pending in the lower house. Ngayon pag hindi natin sila binigyan ng ganong provision o authority, parang magkaroon kasi ng bias. Hindi fair yung magiging, sa tingin ko, hindi magiging fair yung treatment natin sa bawat isa, no, bawat company na nagre-renew ng franchise nila. So sa tingin ko, I always support 100% of the resolution.
Over at Batasang Pambansa, Franchise Committee Chairperson Franz Alvarez has given the NTC 72 hours to explain why they should not be cited in contempt. This after it issued a cease and desist order against ABS-CBN, instead of granting the network provisional authority to operate while its franchise renewal remains pending in Congress. Alvarez said the CDO was a, quote, affront to its dignity and is an inexcusable disrespect of its authority. Amid all these, Cagayan de Oro Representative Rufus Rodriguez appealed for an end to the blame game. He urged his colleagues to act on his proposals seeking to give ABS-CBN provisional franchise until June 30, 2022 and a fresh 25-year license to operate. Just while some congressmen are standing up for the beleaguered media giant, not all of them are on the same boat. Presidential son and Davao City Representative Paulo Duterte and two other lawmakers are calling for an investigation in aid of legislation into the probable franchise violations of the Kapamilya Network. Jess?
Thank you for those updates, News 5 correspondent Ria Fernandez. Moving on to some weather updates, heat index in San Jose, Occidental Mindoro soared to a searing 56 degrees Celsius yesterday, which is by far the hottest in the country this year. This was recorded yesterday at 2 p.m. Dagupan City was at 50 degrees Celsius, while at least 5 more cities recorded heat indices of at least 45 degrees Celsius yesterday. Just to clarify, heat index is not the actual temperature, but how the environment feels like, considering both air temperature and humidity in the area. Meanwhile, tropical depression Ambo has maintained its strength since this morning. It was last seen off the coast of Hinatuan, Surigao del Sur, packing winds between 55 and 70 kilometers per hour. Satellite images show it is almost stationary as of the moment, but is expected to move slightly north in the next couple of days. Based on Pag-asa's forecast track, Ambo will likely make landfall over Catanduanes on Wednesday. It will then traverse parts of southern and central Luzon. The tropical depression is expected to boost Angat Dam's water supply, which is currently more than 20 meters lower than its normal water level. Meralco assures customers that it won't suffer from bill shock when they receive their bills. Meralco business centers are now fully operational. Talking to Cito Beltran on One News's agenda, company spokesperson Joe Zeldariaga said they're giving consumers the option to settle their bill in full or in staggered payments. The power distributor previously deferred payments for the months of March and April, with most Luzon residents quarantined at home.
5,000 ang bill sa March, 5,000 ang bill sa April, tapos 5,000 ang bill sa May. Ngayon, paano yung gagawin doon sa March and April?
Yung sa March and April, dahil 5,000 plus 5,000, di inabot ka ng 10,000 sa bill mo, hahatiin sa apat yon.
Okay.
simula June. So ang mangyayari niyan 25 June, 25 July, 25 August, tapos 25 sa September.
Plus yung kinonsumo mo na dapat mong bayaran ng June, ng July, ng August, ng September.
Kasama na yung current.
Time now for some headlines around the world. Shanghai Disneyland reopens almost 4 months since it was shut down due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Visitors are all required to wear face masks as the park imposes social distancing measures. The number of visitors is also limited to around 24,000 people, which is just 30% of its usual capacity. In sports, SBP Chairman Emeritus Manny Pangilinan says there is no easy solution to the problem faced by the PBA. Speaking on One News' The Chiefs, Pangilinan said he has been communicating with PBA Chairman Ricky Vargas to discuss how the PBA will proceed with its 45th season. Commissioner Willie Marshall earlier said the board will decide in August whether to cancel the season or hold a one-conference campaign. The PBA officially opened on March 8, but was only able to hold one game before suspending all activities in light of the ECQ. Recall that the Interagency Task Force listed sports events among the mass gatherings that are banned under the quarantine period. Pangilinan says the PBA Board of Governors has yet to arrive at a final decision on what to do moving forward. And that wraps up today's big story. Catch us again tomorrow at 8 p.m. on Signal Channels 8 and 250. Please like our Facebook page, One News. For more in-depth analysis, visit our webpage, onenews.ph. I'm Jess De Los Santos. We are One News. Good evening.